record. Are we recording? Yes. Blinking light. All right. So welcome to the leadership call. My name's Janice, for those of you who might be watching the Zoom and don't know me. And we're going to have Amanda on the call. And the reason I asked Amanda to, actually I asked her today if she would join one of my calls. And then I was like, oh, wait, tonight is a leadership call. You're more than welcome to, talk tonight. She's like, oh no, let's schedule for like next week or whatever. Of course, I wasn't meaning to put her on the spot, but with Summit coming up and her schedule and my schedule, she said, you know what, let's just do it tonight. And Melissa actually posted something on the wall about who's doing team calls and who's being guest speakers on team calls. So it was like, okay, light bulb, we'll just do it now. So Amanda and I have been really good friends for a little over a year, I'd say. And we've gone on trips together, and she's also a MAID coach. And whenever I think of leadership, I want to team up with someone that I can work alongside with the same goals, same vision. And she's the same way. She, quit her job actually to stay at home to do this business. So it's really cool to hear from someone like that, because I know a lot of you are wanting to quit your job and stay at home and do this full time. So I'm really excited that she gets to share her expertise with all of us. And if you guys don't mind, we're recording, so just make sure you mute yourself. That's all. And I'm going to go ahead and hand the call over to you, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Wow. Well, so obviously first, a big thank you to Janice. I have to give you full disclosure. I am nervous. I get super excited about sharing my passion and my process and my insight with people. But this is quite honestly the first time that someone came to me and asked me to speak in front of people that I don't know. Like, you guys aren't my team. I speak to my team until they want to take their ears off. So it's it's exciting and it's exhilarating. And my goal is to just give you something of substance that you can plug into your process. And the thing with that is that it's not always like step one, take this pretty note. Here's this pretty slide to go with it. So I'm not going to bring you slides tonight. And I am just going to go through some talking points. I'm going to try and not go over or not need to extend the call or anything like that. Janice explained to me what you guys are doing with the Vimify trainings, and I think it is so awesome. I'm totally going to steal that idea and check out Vimify. It's really organized, so I hope that you guys have been benefiting from it, because what I saw of it, that's awesome. What a great setup. So congratulations to you guys for taking that step and investing in yourselves and giving that time to take the training a little bit further. That says a lot about who you are and obviously why you're on this call. So when she asked me about it, she said, I want other people to talk about leadership and how do you get there? What does that mean? And, we all start out as baby coaches. It doesn't matter who we are, what we do in our careers, and we all bring ourselves to the table. And that's what's so beautiful about this business and what made me latch onto it was that this wasn't somebody telling me, copy paste this script about what makeup you want to sell. This was you want to help people get healthy? Have at it. Here's some help if you want it, but go have at it. So it was complete freedom to be yourself and impact other people's lives. So that's really cool. But what if you're not a natural born leader? What if you can't grow a team? What if you don't have a clue about health and fitness, right? So there's all these questions, and everybody's process looks so different. But as in life, there are absolute truths, and there are ways we come about that. So the bottom line of really my point tonight is that this is a constant roller coaster and balancing act between mindset and logistics and strategy. You can't have one without the other. Sometimes one is a little bit stronger than the other, but at any given point in time, you've got to be focusing on both of those things. And so mindset is always going to be coming back to you. And then the strategy and the logistics is going to be coming back to something that Janice just said and something that I want to drive home, which is plugging into what's already been done, what's already working, what are the 4 vital behaviors that they tell me are going to help me grow my business. There are actual things and strategies that no matter who you are, how timid and shy you are, what your weight goal is, where you are in your health journey, if you do these things, no matter how slow it is for one person or how fast it is for another person, your business is going to progress. So it's taking that stuff and melding it with a growing, positive, ever-evolving mindset. That's where it comes from. I am just a little bit about me as I get into some of this is I guess I hit 1 star almost 2 months ago. And prior to that, I've been a diamond for a year. That's a long time for me to look at that and go, that on paper, it looks like there's no growth. What is going on here, right? So I still, quite honestly, feel like I am very early in my journey as a coach because of where I am in my status. I'm coming up on 2 years, but I also feel like I am just now at a place where I have started to gain some traction. And I'm an evaluator. I have a license in counseling, and that's what I spent a good 7 years doing, is working in the mental health field. So I'm big on evaluating things and addressing what needs to be fixed and how can we progress this area and blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking at this going, well, okay, where's this? This isn't just happenstance. This isn't me talking to the right person or getting the right coach to sign on my team. That's not why I'm doing well. Why am I doing well? OMG. It's a word we all hear all the time. Consistency. Point blank. And it sucks while you're doing it. And that's the thing. Like, it totally sucks while you're doing it because you don't see those results right away. It's not immediate gratification. It is so far delayed, you don't even know if you're ever going to see it. So hindsight is 2020, and it is beautiful to get to a place where you're kind of like having these small victories and you're like, oh, I see. I can't stop. And I will say, and I'll call myself out here, you know, we have to be able to celebrate the small victories in coaching and everything. But if we celebrate too long, then we derail. I was listening to an interview with a woman who had summited Mount Everest the other day, and she has an awesome quote that I've just it's like inscribed on the inside of my brain now. And she said, backing up is different than backing down. And that was huge. So it's this constant process of evaluating where I am. And that might mean there's a little slowdown here and there, but it doesn't mean that I've derailed and I've gone backwards. It just means I'm taking a break for a second to look at things, and then I'm powering through. So let's talk about consistency for a minute. Because the thing is, it's so hard to do what needs to be done when there's not all of this fun, exciting motivation surrounding it. So just like wave at me if anybody's ever rejected you on a challenge pack sale or a coach sign up. Right? It happens all the time. I actually got a big fat no today that made me so angry. But the thing is, and you guys have heard this so much, and I'm not really here to talk about purpose and why that much, but if you have taken the time to really figure out why you're here and what you're doing with your life and what your vision is, I was talking to Janice about this today. It doesn't matter who says no to me. It matters on paper and the numbers, but it doesn't actually matter. Because that why, that purpose, that reason for you being here, is it not bigger than that person's rejection? Is it not bigger than that person's no? Is it not bigger than how many challenge packs I sell this month? Right? So that's, again, it's that mindset and logistics thing. It has to come together. So there's Success Club. There's incentives for that. There's ranks. There's, all these groups and trainings that we're a part of where we have to meet certain benchmarks and things like that. But still it's necessary because it helps us and it gives us markers to work for. But that's not what it's all about, right? It's that balancing act again. So it always comes back to your mindset. And your mindset has got to be full on wrapped around why you're here. So this is it's exciting for me. I think in metaphors. I live in metaphors. Everything's a metaphor to me. But this is my personality. It's hard. And then it's oh, gushy, let's feel good for a minute. I love everyone, and it's learning to find out that those two things coexist and that that's okay. And that's how we actually move forward, is by figuring out how they live in harmony. And so that's what we need to do. It's my name is Amanda, and I am not a Beachbody coach. I'm Amanda, and this is what I bring to the table, and this is what I want out of life, and this is my personality and my emotions and my spirit and who God made me to be. But oh, by the way, if I want this stuff to work, I have to do these 4 vital behaviors, and I have to plug into things, and I have to do those absolute strategies that do work. And it's only when we can plug our actual like mindset and person into that stuff that we will actually move forward. You'll get so far for so long without it, but there's going to come a time where plateau and stagnation occurs. So kind of some of what brings all that together, and this is hopefully helpful, is recognizing that you're already capable of leading a 15-star diamond team. You are. And how do you get there? You find someone who has done what you need to do, who has similar goals and aspirations from you. Janice just said it about the two of us. We kind of have very similar like drive and similar go get it grit, if you will. Like, it's like, I'm going to do what it takes to build this business. And we kind of recognize that in each other. And it's like, I want to talk to her about this. We all have people who are so much more successful from us, but they have so much more than we have. So they almost make it a reality that it's possible, right? So go to those people, follow those people on Facebook, follow them on social media, find their blogs online. Half of these top coaches have like full on websites. Melanie Mitro has a blog. Like, go look at these things, read about them. Don't do what they're doing, but gain inspiration and kind of see what they're doing that works. And that is going to be fuel to the fire that keeps you moving towards that why. Because you've probably all heard this, especially in health and fitness journeys, that, one of the number one reasons why people give up on their goals is because all they do is see how far they have to go. They don't stop and see what they've done so far, or what their individual situation has, how it's made it different, or any of that stuff. They just see like, oh man, I'm a 1-star and they, I wanted to be top dog, right? Well, that's going to take forever. I'm never going to get there. Not true. We have to find faith and inspiration in the people who have gone before us. And that's what mentorship is all about. And it doesn't mean we make best friends with these people. It means we find someone that we believe in and we keep our sights on them. I'm a runner. I run marathons. I run short races. I run whatever you can put in front of me. I love it. And the faster people, you keep them in your sights. So what if you never catch them? You keep them in your sights. You are going to do so much more and so much better just by watching them than if you were like, oh, they're so much better than me. I'm slow. I'll never make it. So it's all about that mindset. I'm going to come back to mentoring in just a little bit, but recognizing that where you are now is not where you're going to be is a huge part of your mindset. And you can call it hope, you can call it goals, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but it's a journey. And you have to recognize that while you have everything inside of you right now that you need to get where you're going, a lot of that stuff isn't going to be realized or evolved or out there for people to see or for you to even recognize until you give into the process and grow with your team. So as you pull coaches onto your team and as you start putting yourself out there as more of a leader, your number one goal should just be to be transparent and to share. Because isn't that what drew you to where you were? This person made you feel like you mattered and they shared their struggle with you and they just wanted to encourage you because it is possible. And then again, that person kind of lights that faith and that inspiration up in you. So recognizing that it's a journey, and I'm going to use a little bit of an example here. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but oh wow, I guess it was the February before last. That was my first Beachbody Team Cup. And I was a brand new baby coach. 4 months into the business, I didn't know anybody. I didn't come into the business as family members or friends of anybody. Melissa and I connected in cyber world, and I thank God to this day for landing where I am. I believe in positioning, and this is like the sweet spot, you guys. We're in an awesome spot. But so I didn't have friends in the coaching world. I didn't know who these people were, and all I had was my little challenge group. And I got stuck on a team with 4 other really awesome coaches, and I was scared to death because I was like, I'm not cut out for this. I'm not going to message 42 people a day. I'm not going to stay up until 1 a.m. and like, cutthroat inviting people. Like, it was legit. But what I'm getting at with that is I wasn't where I was going to be, but that was a part of what got me there. I was open to the experience. I recognized the strengths in these other girls. And then I actually gave myself the time of day to say, oh, you can contribute to this team too. And it's that investment and that plugging in with one another and using one another's strengths and going after those things. Again, finding those mentors. And there are different levels of mentors. So these were coaches on my level, but I could still mentee after them. Well, Christy does this. I'm going to try that. That's awesome. Or, that gave me an idea to go do this. I'm going to go do that. And I really want to impress on you that where you are is not where you're going to be. So you can't allow who you are now to hold you back. I was big on limiting myself. I'm shy. I'm not that. I'm not that girl. I'm all this stuff. And quite honestly, when you just kind of release all of that and give into the process, you hear it all the time. Trust the process. There's power in the process. It's true, but you have to be a part of the process. You have to participate in the process. You guys are already doing that. Like, it's awesome that you're in an elite training group with your coach and that you're putting in extra time to do stuff. So you're participating in the process. You're one up on anybody who's not. And so part of this is, earlier Janice and I were kind of talking a little bit about competition. And speaking of mentorship, it kind of comes up. I'm somewhat competitive. I'm very competitive with myself, but I am competitive with other people too. Some people aren't, but you kind of have to be open to reading people and knowing where you can use that to your advantage versus where it can actually break people down. So the kind of way that I spin like my competitive nature with people who maybe aren't quite so competitive on my team, who might get broken down if I try a Success Club competition or something like that, we got to spin it into encouragement. It's, you can do this too. Well, look at her. She's got X number of points. Oh my gosh, that means she's changed 5 lives this month already. Like, well, who are you talking to? Whose life are you going to change? Turn it into an encouragement, and that will help that person then be able to step up. You guys have all heard that saying of, I think it has to do with children. I've worked with kids a lot in my life. So it's like, if you want them to perform at a certain level, you've got to set the bar up there and make that bar a reality. The reason I get pumped up about what I do, like about those logistics and things like that, is 15 Star is a reality. I don't know if you guys tapped into the Team Made call last week, but $100,000 a week, that's a reality. It's a reality. It's possible. Somebody set that bar because they did it. So, I was talking to my team yesterday, and everybody moans and groans about the National Wake Up Call announcements. Like, I don't know what it is, but I've heard it so many times. Like, oh, I'm trying to fast forward. I'm going to listen to the podcast so I can press. And I was like, maybe I'm the only nerd who does this, but I love listening to those announcements. And the reason is because when they are doing the Star Diamond recognition, I don't know half those people. I've never heard their name before in my life. And I'm talking like 12, 13, 14, and 15 stars who are nobodies. They're nobodies from nowhere, just like me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's so inspiring. That provides me with an example that it's legit. This is reality. And if I'm the one to stop doing the 4 vital behaviors, then I'm the dumb one. You know what I mean? Like, they plugged in and when nobody was watching, and I haven't heard their name on the National Wake Up Call before. They've never spoken at Summit before. They've never been on my team call before. Who is that person? Right? They're not Danielle Natoni. They're not Angie Belmar. Like, these people you hear all the time. And then every now and then there's just random. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to be that person one day who people go, who is she? That's awesome. It just makes it a reality. And when you can keep that in your sights and turn it into your reality, and keep your sights on that. Again, all of those other distractions, the no's on the challenge packs, the life circumstances that come up and kind of mess up your routine for a little while, that stuff is not bigger than your reality, right? Your reality is it. This is what I'm going to live, right? So let me rein it back in. I kind of got excited there for a second. But part of that evolving into a leader is growing a team culture of exactly what I've been talking about. Growing a team culture that's surrounded by development and encouragement and healthy competition and positivity. Because what can happen a lot of times is in relationships, we get tied up in wanting to meet each other's needs and get our own satisfaction out of that as well. And I used to lead a team in my past career, and we called it no garbage dumping. And by that, I mean, it's not about just dumping your problems on someone because you're getting an emotional fulfillment from them. We kind of get this like wrap up in our team is our place to vent, and it's the safe place. And what you want to do is develop a culture of kind of like what I've been talking here now. Like, it sucks when that person told me no. I literally screenshotted the email and I popped it up in my leader page for my team. And I was like, this sucks. Peace out, moving on. Like it sucked, but she's not going to drag down my day. I have to share it with you because this sucks and I want you to know that I struggle too. But I see it. We've got 10 minutes. But you know what? No skin off my back, water rolling down. Like she's going to regret that, and I'm moving on. And a great quote for us to remember is, who said it? I hate not crediting people. You may know when I say it, but in order to attract the people that you are meant to work with, you first have to repel the people that you're not meant to work with. So that's a really good way that I have found to look at these things, because they did me a favor. Like, I can move past that and I can share it with my team so that they know I get no's too. And then you keep asking, right? So that's a perfect way to promote that example of solution focus versus like just being a garbage dump for one another. And one of the biggest lessons I pulled out of that Team Cup journey was the lesson of feelings versus functionality. Quite honestly, that mindset and strategy, like balance, sometimes the strategy needs to be stronger. When work needs to be done, when you need to see results, it's about functionality. It's not about feelings, right? It's not about, we've all had that bad day where we just need to get through the day and we don't care who we're talking to. We don't care what we look like. We're just like, this is about functionality, right? We've all had that day. But then there are other days when it's all about, I want to wear this shirt, and, I'm going to have an extra cup of coffee because I want to sit here a little longer and enjoy my life. You know what I mean? Like there's time for fluff, but then there's time for hard. And it kind of goes like this a lot. And when you recognize that and you embrace it and you just take part in that process, you are evolving into a leader. And being transparent about that with your team so that they can see that and that they can kind of like trust you and rely on you for that. Another way to make sure that you're doing these things is by daily tracking. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because we do that a lot anyways. We check in about Success Club. We check off our daily goals. We have the 4 vitals. We do Power Hour, all of those things. But like I said, as a runner, you track everything. And when you're not performing up to par, you do go back and you pace every quarter mile. And it's the same thing with this. It's not pathological. It's necessary. So, I wanted to circle back around to mentorship because I think it's a huge, big deal. But it's also, again, metaphors, it's the same thing. It's learning its place, knowing its place in your journey, and knowing where it settles. Because Janice reminded me today that Melissa McAllister has a quote, and she says to stay in your lane. And I think it's huge because we can aspire after people and we can be inspired by people. But when their success or their journey or their really awesome way of doing things that makes us attract to them is bigger than our why, our purpose, and our vision, that's where it gets really dangerous. That's where it turns into a comparison puddle. That's where it turns into like, you're not in your lane. You're not doing you. And I know Janice will love this. I listen to a pastor on podcast, Pastor Stephen Furtick, and he says it over and over again. He has a book called Unqualified. If you guys ever get a chance to read it, great personal development book. But he says, God cannot bless who you are not. And I'm probably messing up the wording with that, but If you're not being true to who you're supposed to be, you're not going to reap the rewards for what you're supposed to be getting, right? Like, you're not on your process, then you don't get your provision. It's just is what it is. And it's just a life principle. You got to be true to get what you're supposed to be getting. So just be careful. Find people who have done what you want to do and do it well, and figure out where they're at, follow along after them, but don't do exactly what they're doing. Do it in your way. In my team, I say, put on your blinders, no's for challenge packs fly at me. Somebody else's success, I see it on Facebook, right? Oh, that coach, they just hit 5-star. What's wrong with me? You know what I mean? All these things. Put on your blinders. Where's your why? Where's your vision? Why are you here? Go after that. Be transparent about it with your team. Recognize that there's a balance between sometimes just having to do the things that need to be done no matter what. And then sometimes it's okay to be more feelings oriented in that. And that those play a huge part in how we move forward. I'm going to wrap up, and I hope that there were some sort of nuggets in there for you guys. But I want to wrap up with just a couple of quotes that really tie up where my journey has taken me and where I am now. They're setting me up for a catapult into the next 2 years of my journey as a coach. And it's a Grant Cardone quote. If you have not read the 10X rule, get it on audiobook. He reads it to you. He's amazing. Even if you hate him, you will love him. And I want to read it to you really quickly. One of the problems with success is that it demands continuous attention. Success tends to bless those who are most committed to giving it that attention. And then in the book, kind of piggybacking off of that, he says that success is like breathing. There is nothing more important than the breath you are taking right now, except the breath that you'll take next. And so recognizing, again, this constant balancing act of, where do I want to be? Where am I headed? Where am I going? Where am I right now? What am I doing right now? I have to do this every single day to get there. And you can't lose sight of either one of those things. And you guys know what those things are. So I wasn't here to give you a step 1, invite 5 people every day. Step 2, drink your Shakeology. You already know that stuff. So really now it's just a matter of doing it. Every time I run a race, I'm not running for the finish line. I'm running for what's after the finish line. And if I keep that mindset, and then I do the things that I need to do to get me there, then I never stop. I'm just going to keep going, right? So we have a few minutes left.
Yay! Awesome. And she did a great job for her first time. Yeah. You're an awesome, great speaker. And the worst part about being a great speaker is now you're going to get asked by everyone. I'm going to tell everybody.
I need practice for this Super Saturday.
Right, absolutely. See, and that's what I love about having a success partner. I know Arthenia and Ashton have teamed up, and I want to encourage everyone on my team to get a success partner and understand what that mentorship is and all of those things. But man, it helps, because I know Amanda, as soon as she said she's going to be speaking at Super Saturday, I'm like, well, definitely you got to practice on my team call then, because I know if someone was to ask me to be on the team call, I know the flood of emotions that run through me. And then I remember that as soon as the call was done, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I did so much better than I thought I would. And that's how this whole business is ran. Fear, face it, and you win. Fear, face it, you win. Fear, face it, you win, right? That's the whole thing. But you can't overcome it if you don't face it. So you just have to push through. So thank you guys so much for being on this team call. I'm so glad that Amanda was able to jump on last minute like that and take over this call and just rock it with so many. I mean, sometimes I could say one thing and someone else could say another thing, and it just makes more sense. So I know you might have heard some of this before, but a lot of that I took because I need to be more vulnerable and more transparent as a leader. So I even learned something from the call. And again, thank you so much. This call will be recorded, so I'll pass that out to everybody that couldn't make it, and to your team too. As Amanda, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful night. Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.